Ever wonder what your day would be like with Boom Radio? Yep, us too. We don't think about nightmares.
Good day and welcome to the Boom Bar on Boom Radio NG. My name is Sola Rogers. It is a pleasure to be here.
Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the Boom Bar, like he had said, on your Boom Radio NG. My name, Dolupo. You know, the one and only. And this very interesting day today, we're going to be talking about a lot of things. It is the Boom Bar where we give you everything. News, politics.
That's on me.
Sports, and everything else in between. Yes. So today we're going to be breaking a lot of things down. The World Cup, Women's World Cup is still ongoing, so we're definitely going to be talking about it. Looks like Guinness World Record is looking for trouble. They have decided to look for trouble. And we're definitely going to be talking about that. Also, there's a little bit of entertainment news that we will get to, but starting from today, we're going to be starting from a few things. First things first, President Tinubu had addressed the country yesterday evening, 7 p.m. West African time. He had, and there were a lot of things that, you know, everybody, it was about almost 20 minutes worth of talking. I didn't see a lot of that coming, but there was a lot of talking involved in that speech. But anyway, he did. And from there, there was now the conversation of, okay, what happened? Is this making sense? Whatever he said. First things first, let's even start from there. Do you think whatever he said made a lot of sense?
Well, for me, yeah, to some extent, there were relatable statements and pronouncements that were made. Because making sense is relative. I don't know, because you more or less put me in the spot when you say, does it make sense? You understand?
Oh, to you now, it's
yeah, that's why I said it's relative. And that's why, to me, you know, looking at some of the things that he said, they are in line with his drive, you know, to rejig the economy and bring Nigeria's business, you know, environment into, you know, the future where, you know, you can get more IGRs and stuff. There are certain things that had held back or had made people divest from Nigeria, had made them leave. And one of the biggest issues was the Forex. So everything he said, if people were expecting a reversal, it's not a reversal. It was more or less like
reversal of
policies. Yes, of policies. On the first day he came into power as president of Nigeria, he had reiterated and more or less emphasized the removal of fuel subsidy that had been in existence for decades in Nigeria. And when he did that, you know,
some of us did not see it coming so fast.
Exactly. So if anybody was expecting some form of a reversal in policy, because the policy trust, yes, it's a statement. You don't know how it was going to go. And
anyway,
following the pulse of people, and a lot of people were saying a lot of things. So that was not going to happen. Again, following that, they had done other things like declaring a state of emergency on food security or insecurity, as the case may be. And also the floating of the dollar, you know, the naira, you know, against the dollar. And I was watching a former minister, Pa Audu Ogbe, who was talking about how they had resisted Nigeria devaluing the naira in 1986. And of course, that's why we are where we are, because as at then it was 1 to 150. And they said, oh, your naira was overvalued. And for you to do business with the rest of the world, you had to devalue and all of those shenanigans that Nigeria got into. And since 86, it's been downhill for us. And in a situation where corrupt people find themselves in policy-making situations, people look for loopholes in the system. We were having a discussion about football in Nigeria a few minutes ago. I'm not going to talk about what we said, but what we discussed is what people do. Always look for a loophole. There's always some gray area.
And especially when there is no law that is against it.
Yes.
Just
within the law, they still look for gray areas. And so that's where we are. So back to the president's speech. Did it make sense? Because he's falling in line with the things he has said. Yes, it made sense. Now, did it make sense to a lot of people? And then no. Why doesn't it make sense to them? Because they have heard some of these things before. For instance, the release of 200,000 metric tons of grains. President Muhammadu Buhari had announced a release of 50,000 metric tons of grains. You understand? We must understand one thing, yeah? Some of these things might trickle to us and some don't. Because one, I'm not a farmer, so I might not be in line to get it directly. But I might be buying the byproduct of those grains. And maybe, the price might come down. But there's a myriad of problems. There's a lot of things that needs to be unpacked, unburdened, broken down, then pushed out. The agricultural value chain. For farmers who might get those grains now, it's a blessing for them.
Yeah.
For farmers who might get the what's this thing that they use a lot for farming now? Fertilizers. Oh, it's a blessing to them. But does it trickle down to the market? Like, will it? Except they finally put in the commodities board that this president has talked about. It won't make any sense because the people who are taking profit will still take profit. The people who are transporting the goods from point A to point B, from the market, from the farm to the market, will still do their markups. They'll still be charging what they want to charge.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to say if it made sense or not because, again, people want the impact in the immediate. Talked about 100 billion or so for 3,000 CNG-powered buses.
Yeah.
And they are 21-seater buses. So that means
20-seater buses.
Yeah. That means that they are not going to be, the mass transit buses that we were used to, the bigger ones.
No.
They're like medium-sized buses, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to get that, we're getting 3,000 units of that, and it will be shared based on demand, more or less like for urban areas and so they might get more.
Yeah,
because it doesn't make any sense.
Where I was reading it now, a lot of these buses are going to transport companies. They're not necessarily going to, what's the word now? They're not necessarily going to states.
Yeah, there's the talk of getting established transporters in different parts of Nigeria to receive these things. But again, it will be shared based on perceived or calculated demand.
Yeah.
Because you cannot say, for instance, you're going to put 100 buses across every state, It won't make any sense because maybe a place like Kano or a place like Onitsha has more people than certain parts of the southwest or the northeast or north central or wherever.
I agree.
So I get that they've done some work in that area. Yeah. But time is running out. Time is ticking. People don't care. They really don't care if you're working around the clock if they don't get the immediate benefits. They are the long-term benefits, but they are the low-hanging fruits also. I like when he talked about working directly with the local governments also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us we have been misinformed and miseducated. I do not mean any disrespect. We expect too much from the federal government. And the local governments and state governments also have responsibilities. Now, there's about to be some trouble if Nigerians are going to open their eyes. Some state governors are already making moves.
Oh, yeah.
And creating palliatives. and putting it out there. So what are the other state governors waiting for?
Doing? You know,
What are they waiting for?
For example, Oyo State, this is second day in a row that there are protests in Oyo State, because you really can't blame people. The neighbors, Ogun State, right there, we saw last week the amount of palliatives. In fact, I saw a tweet as of today that the 10,000 naira that was said that was going to be given to civil servants and all that has already been given in a state like Ogun State. We saw that happening in Kwara State. I think Borno State too has a few of that. Just yesterday, the Lagos State governor at a media briefing had announced how transportation fares, maybe because for Lagos State there's already a BRT system that works. Maybe that's why if those other states can't do what Lagos is doing, that there's a 50% slash in those BRT buses, Lagos State cabs. Those things are in place in Lagos State. They went even further to say that there is going to be a 25% reduction in prices in the yellow buses. How they want to pull that off, I don't know.
A lot of people have said that, and without even having to do any research and understanding how these things work. The governor of Lagos now, we're talking the palliative plans that he has put in place, especially for transportation, will not make a statement that is not solid. They've already had meetings with the transporters. Remember that they have their parks and management structure. Even if there's a court judgment or not, those guys are still out there and the structure is still there one way or the other. And I'm very sure that they've had a sit down and they've agreed, you know, and they would have offered those guys some kind of palliatives themselves too.
For them to agree to.
They would have offered them some kind of palliatives. Okay, maybe there's a fine that you pay. We're going to reduce it so that you can reduce what you're charging people, you know, for transportation. But what I wanted to hear, and I mentioned this last week, I didn't hear it as part of these yellow buses. Like I said, the best way to allow these policies trickle down and have that immediate effect is to move them in bulk from petrol to CNG.
Yeah.
So if you do your poll and there are 10,000 yellow buses plying the streets of Lagos, although I even feel some of those things are not fit to carry human beings,
Right.
especially
You said some.
especially
Most.
the tiny ones.
The tiny ones seem to be better.
No, they're not. I boarded.
other
No,
ones
they're
are
not.
horrible.
No, they're not. No, they're not. I boarded one last week from Shita roundabout to Ayetoro in Aguda Surulere, and I'm not going to. You may like your friend fronting or whatever. I more or less blocked the seats. Like, okay, I'm paying for this seats and all of that and blah blah blah. But that's not the gist. Coming down, I don't even know how I entered the thing, because coming down was something I was like. And honestly, they're not meant to be for transportation. Go and check. But we have done that. Most of the downfalls too, when they come into Nigeria, go and look at them. They're camping buses and stuff. And when they come here, that's when they make those chairs.
Oh,
they don't come with those chairs.
Those things are horrible.
They don't come with, they don't come with those metal chairs and
it's
stuff.
obvious that they're fabricated.
So, but now that we've been using them for years and it's our thing now, it's Bole Kaja, Danfo and all of those things. What we need to do, what we need to be doing is to get them to switch en masse. So the installation or the conversion from petrol to CNG or the dual ability to switch between gas and petrol must be a thing. That way, they would not even really need any palliatives to buy the gas, but maybe just for them to get onto it, And when you do a bulk thing like that, it gets better for them. So for me, those are some of the things that I was hoping that they were going to talk about that I did not hear from the governor of Lagos State. But I think that I like the plan. The ability to slash the cost of transportation by 50% is amazing.
And the truth is,
then people are not talking about the health sector and what they want to do for people, especially for nursing mothers and people and expectant mothers. They're going to virtually get treatment for free now. And these are huge things.
These are things that are going to affect.
That will punch a hole in your pocket.
It definitely does. So, like you had said, now there are a pocket of governors, maybe 5 at most, that have come out with palliatives. And, I was talking to someone yesterday, and I had said that, like you said, true, I think it was over the weekend, sorry, not yesterday, that the fuel subsidy removal thing is not going anywhere anymore, especially the amount of money that we see that is being saved. Also, the president had reiterated it that in about 2 months, there's been savings of about 1 trillion naira in just 2 months. So the truth is that with that amount of savings, maybe personally, I was not expecting that there was going to be any conversation about a removal. Now, the issue that I have with this is that also means that governors and local government chairmen now have access to more money. So, if some people can afford to, can afford to roll out these palliatives, and this is been going on for like a week or two, and maybe 5-6 governors at most has announced some palliatives. What happened? We have 36 governors. What's happening?
There's a statement that you had made earlier when you talked about Lagos being able to roll out palliatives for BRT. Sorry, excuse me. Being able to roll out palliatives for BRT, and while some states do not have BRT, so they are excused. They're not excused. Do you understand?
I'm not saying they're excused. I'm saying that with the angle of transport, we've seen a lot more other states say they are they're giving people money, they're giving people foodstuff. The issue of maybe the transport directly, at the moment, maybe Lagos, and I'm not sure if Kaduna State has started it, is the only state that has a functional BRT system.
So it doesn't all have to be the bus rapid transport system, right? But a mass transportation system that also does not only stay on the road. Look around you. A lot of states have rivers and streams and all of that. They're not looking at water transportation. We can't even ask them to go into air because that one is a different ballgame and it's more or less an elitist thing.
Yeah.
Rail is mass transit. It's time that they stopped, playing around governors. Every governor, hold your governor responsible.
Why is the Lagos trains not working yet, though?
They're starting in August. The blue line first phase is starting in August. Now, the red line obviously cannot start until all the train stations are ready and until people stop selling their wares on the rail tracks. I saw this thing as a little boy in Lagos many years ago, young boy in Lagos. And many years after, decades after, it's the same thing that's happening. And we used to wonder how it happened then. Because at Yaba Market, the people selling stuff would display their wares on the rail tracks.
Yeah.
And when they hear this warning siren or whatever from the trains approaching, they pack everything up. In a second or two, they are gone. But as soon as the train is moving past them, they are back there. And this is where we're back to now. Now, it's not just Yaba anymore now. It's Oshodi. It's Agege. Agege majorly is the biggest problem that they have now. So
the Agege one is like smack dab in the middle of the market. So I think that just worsened the whole matter.
Yeah. And even when they build those nice looking metal fences, they bring them down. They already brought them down. So we are part of the problem. But rail, must be a part of it. The states can afford to set up rail because they have the money. Now it's time for governors. It's time for governors. And I'm happy that Nigerians are in a place where now rigging is a thing of the past in Nigeria, like it's at its barest minimum. So politicians know that in 3.5 years from now, they are going to come and beg you for votes. In fact, in 3 years from now, they are going to come and beg you for votes. And they must show working. It's no more room to the answer like, I just, no. What did you do? What have you done in the last 3.5 years to deserve another term? And these are the issues. So Nigerians, put pressure on your councillors, on your local government chairman, if you have them, because some governors are so terrible that they would not conduct local government elections. And I keep advocating for that thing to be taken away from them completely and taken, to the center.
Anyway, when we now go back to it, I really just think that we're at a point where there's a lot of talk. Yeah, the president had said a lot of things, but it is now the implementation of it. How fast is it going to be implemented, and is it even going to be implemented? That's where I'm coming from. Now, let's look at it from the angle of like the labor. The organized labor, the Nigerian Labour Congress, had expressed its doubt on the sincerity of the interventions of the presidency. This was after the president broadcast yesterday. They said that they're still going to go ahead with a planned protest over the removal of the petrol subsidy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you had seen them on social media, 53 minutes after the president's speech, there was a tweet from the Labour, it's still Labour now, the Nigerian Labour Congress, Ando, said that they have said their own. Now it's time for Nigerians to speak. I said, wow, this is very confrontational. This is bold, and this is,
but
out,
I thought
out
that
there.
part of the things that the president had said. So a few things that he had said, let's just really out. There's supposed to be a minimum wage review where the president had said that they were already talking with labor unions about an upward review of the minimum wage. Are these not the same people that they're having conversations with?
They are the same people that they're having conversations with. And what they are saying, in essence, is that they don't trust the process. They don't believe in whatever the federal government... They've made insinuations to that effect. They don't believe in anything that the federal government has said or is saying. And for that reason, they want to hit the streets. They want to protest and show that people are angry at the government, and there must be a reversal of all these policies, every single one of them. So that's what, and I think it's supposed to be tomorrow. Today is the 1st of August.
Yes, tomorrow.
So it's supposed to be tomorrow
the
that
protest
the
is tomorrow.
Labour Congress.
So is there is it just a protest now, or protest and downing tools?
When they say they are going to strike, they want to strike. Abi, the protest is a part of the strike. When they say they are going to strike, Abi, didn't you hear the part that they are going to go on strike?
Yeah, but now...
So when they go on strike, that's the downing of tools. They don't want to work again.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of conversation around wanting to just protest. And I'm like, okay, are we just talking about the protest or the downing of tools as well? Anyway, tomorrow, it is tomorrow, God keep all of us. We'll be here tomorrow to see who is doing what. Anyway, the acting inspector general of police has now expressed deep concern regarding this nationwide protest by the NLC and the TUC. While recognizing the right to peaceful protest, is appealed to ensure the demonstrations remain peaceful and not hijacked by miscreants.
Yeah, that's a good one from the inspector general of police that is called for decorum and everything. What usually happens is that you're supposed to get a permit to protest, then the police will provide...
Are those permits, do they even exist anymore in Nigeria? Or more like, do people even ask for those things anymore?
Well, you're supposed to get it, and when you get it, the police is supposed to provide some form of coverage for you. So I hope and pray that happens, and they get that coverage that they require, so that they can protest in peace. If people want to protest, let them protest. If people really have something to say, let them say it. You understand? If they don't trust the government, it is well within their powers. If any government that people are saying, we don't trust you, should do one thing and one thing: work harder.
To let people regain their trust. Now, the issue with trust is that how much of trust do even the Nigerian workers have in the NLC? That I think we're going to see a lot of that.
We cannot
tomorrow.
answer that until
Tomorrow, yeah.
Then, depending on the way people react, I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, they're not interested in any protest and they don't trust any." And I've seen a few people say,
But really,
they cannot
but
wait.
the honest truth is that can you really, really blame a lot of people? Why? Is because we know for a fact, at least the leadership of the NLC is an arm of the Labour Party.
Yeah, most
That
definitely.
is an opposition party. So there's always now the thing at the back of your mind is that, is this thing really about the people or is it political?
I honestly, and I've said it on air, and I'm not going to hide it, I personally do not trust the leadership of the Labour as constituted. I think that they are not who they claim to be. You understand? So, if people actually have doubts about them, yeah, I'm one of those people that do. However, the way Labour used to be is what we're hoping they will be. If they're fighting for the people, then let it be so.
Because I know that I'd seen headline of some certain set of people talking about what are the incentives, what do you gain from joining the NLC? Like, what incentives do you get from joining the NLC? And they said a lot of things, and so when you really also think about it from their own angle as well, maybe, just maybe, the NLC needs to maybe rearrange itself a little bit. Now, my question is, take for example, Lagos is centered a lot around, what's the word now? It's centered a lot around the private sector. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So, we know that, okay, take for example, a lot of banks, there's been a lot of upward review of people's salaries and all that. I'm guessing the private sector is not part of the NLC.
No, most of them are not. Some of them are, depending on the industry or sector that you work in.
Okay.
But there are more people in the I'm looking for the right word, who are not members of the NLC.
The NLC. Now,
the informal sector.
If we
the
also,
informal sector.
yes, there's a lot of informal sector. You're not going to tell someone that's in Lagos Island not to open their shop tomorrow. Do you understand? There's a lot of
except they feel like they want to.
Yeah, there is. That's what I'm saying. Like, I do not think. Yeah, that's an angle. There's the private sector, which is a lot in a state like Lagos State. There is also even the state. Yeah. I remember there was before the first. I think it was the first protest that they had cancelled, where I think the NLC of Lagos had come out to say that they were not joining the protest, that the state was doing them well, they were getting all their benefits as it's when due and all that. We know that there's been an upward review in their salaries. Even yesterday, the governor had come out and said that they were going to increase more buses for people to transport themselves, that's civil servants, and and all that. And are you I'm just looking at it like from state to state. Like, is a state like Lagos, is it really going to are we really going to see a lot of that demonstration in a state like Lagos?
Well, we will find out. Lagos still remains the epicenter for all of these things. It's the epicenter for protests, and majorly to be Lagos and Abuja that everybody will be looking at, like, oh, what's going to go down in those places. Now, if the Lagos State workers refuse to join the strike, does not necessarily mean that other people who, like for instance, the Labour Party people can cash in on this, and support the strike, because they are 5 and 6. They are 5 and 6. Even the structure of the party itself, the Labour Party, shows that the Trade Union Congress and the Nigerian Labour Congress own the party. They must even have a say in who becomes chairman or not. Do you understand? So, having considered all of that, then you understand that yes, it might work. They might have politicians join them, because there is an opposition that forms a large chunk of the Labour Party.
All right, moving on from that, President Tinubu is in Benin Republic today for the independence anniversary that, for this, I think 63rd independence anniversary, that's a good thing. We would also get around to Niger Republic and some updates from that. Also, yesterday there's been an announcement that the president had appointed an aide to the former vice president as a special advisor on media and publicity.
Yeah, Ajuri Ngelale, he was here, virtually during the campaign, speaking for the APC then presidential candidate, now president of Nigeria. And you leave out politics or anything. If you're looking for an intelligent person, you're looking for cerebral people who know how to communicate, Ajuri Ngelale takes all those boxes and other boxes for me. I think he's an amazing recruit by the president. And congratulations to him, because it's well deserved.
Okay, and moving on from that quickly, the Senate is still the screening of ministerial nominees still going on. Shout out to the Senate, because I thought that they were supposed to be on recess by now. Well, I like the fact that maybe they just wanted to get it over with. Now, I have a question, though. I think maybe this for the presidency. We know that the chief of staff to the president had announced that there's going to be a supplementary list of ministerial nominees. Now, are these people going to be inaugurated first?
Depends. It depends on if the batch B comes out before they are done with the screening, because what they have done now is just the presentation aspect, which is mandatory. Mm-hmm. After that, they are going to go into a closed door session. Yeah,
the Senate president are talking about, even if you are just asked to take a bow, that it doesn't mean that you have officially been confirmed.
Yeah, they're still going to discuss a lot of things.
I'm actually really more interested this time, because we've seen a lot more questioning. And one thing I would hope for, and this is not their own purview. It is the purview of the presidency. I remember, I think it was the last time, this was around 2019, when President Buhari had sent ministerial nominees to the Senate. And we saw how a lot of people were asked different things across different, and with the questions they were asked, very intelligently answered and all that, a lot of people were hoping, I inclusive, were hoping that you will find some people who sounded like they knew what they were doing. They will be put in some certain places. But lo and behold.
I think one of the things that needs to happen, I don't know if they can make a law about it, is for people to go for screening defending their portfolio.
Maybe they should have put the portfolio there as you're being nominated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when asked about this, I think one of the people who work with President Tinubu said that it's what other people have done in the past that they've done. Forgetting that they've done some things differently in this short 2 months than other people have done. So you didn't need to hide behind that. I feel, really and truly, that it's just like when you go for an interview. Mm-hmm. You know the job you apply for. You know the job you apply
for, exactly. So let's know, okay, this is the ministerial nominee for finance. This is, it probably would.
I was watching Beta Edu, the former commissioner of health in, it's Cross River State, right?
Yeah.
The APC women leader. And I was impressed by her CV, and she's a doctor, and they're asking her about the Ministry of Health and stuff like that. And tomorrow, she might end up in the Ministry of Women Affairs.
Yeah.
So why were they
asking her those
about
kind of
health
questions?
when she probably would never smell that ministry?
Maybe not, because
do you understand?
If you look at there are one or two other people that have more impressive CVs that you probably work in that. So why bother asking her? Why wasting your time?
The immediate past governor of Kaduna State, he has a law degree. Mm-hmm. He has a degree in quantity surveying.
Yeah.
He has worked in different aspects, the Bureau of Public...
we saw the beautiful work that he did in the FCT.
He's done this and that. But the first person that asked him questions, the former governor too, was talking about power. At some point, he also let it slip that President Tinubu talked to
But
him
the
about
amount
power.
of work that he has done over the years, you would expect maybe he should be maybe more like in the Ministry of Works.
So here we go. So that's why I'm saying that it's better, and if they have to pass a law to
Maybe
help governors,
from the minute you have
for
been
you
nominated,
to have
the
nominated
presidency,
someone,
yeah.
in the worst case
You already
scenario,
have an idea of where you're putting them anyway.
in the worst case scenario, it's like when you fill your jam form and you have 1 or 2 or 3 options.
Yeah.
They
Also,
should attach it that this person has
first
been
choice and
nominated,
second choice.
but he might be in this ministry, this.
Or,
so
yeah.
that way, whatever questions you want to ask are streamlined,
streamlined,
and
yes.
you get the right kind of response that we should get. You know, there's the House of Rep member Ojo, who is a young person, and is an IT person, but he's also a politician. He's a member of the House of Reps. At the end of the day, they might put him in Ministry of Youth. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Oh, he's young. He should be.
Yeah,
more,
but with
but
his CV,
he's
it probably should
an
be
IT guy.
communications and digital
You-
economy.
so
yeah.
you understand what I'm saying? So we need to stop this tradition. Whoever started it, congratulations to them. You know, but we're talking governance now, and everybody should actually come and defend.
What you are planning to be, yeah.
Nasser El-Rufai was talking about the installed capacity for power. You will know that he actually knows his onions. He was talking about the discos and the problems that they have.
But still,
Talking about coming back for some new legislation. He talked about the 11 discos. The ones, only 3 of them are okay. You know, 6 of them or 5 of them have been taken over by banks that they borrowed money from, and all of that. It shows you that he actually has done a lot of research and he knows a lot about the power sector. So
now that's my question. Does not mean that tomorrow you'll be shocked that he probably put somewhere else.
from the way he spoke, the man is going to be Minister of Power. I'm even willing to bet on it.
Remember, this happened with.
I have
a
not
few
said
people.
I'm betting on anybody else. For him to have said it, I might not be able to quote him verbatim. I might paraphrase, but he said that the president has spoken to him about this power issue, and that this thing has caused a lot of problems for other presidents, but that they feel that they can, solve it.
They can
That
solve it.
with the president in at the front of the line, leading from the front. Those were his words.
Okay, moving on from that quickly. Sadly, there's been a lot of hue and talks about diphtheria, and I feel that it's something that we should talk about. As of today, there's been about a record of 836 cases with about 83 deaths.
It's becoming a problem, and it's looking like
Slowly.
we're not taking it serious yet. We're all acting like it's not close, but trust me, this thing is here already, and we need to treat it the way we treated the recent COVID-19 and the one before that. That we had scares about. Please and please and please.
Yeah, so there's actually vaccination for this. Diphtheria is a serious infection caused by strains of bacteria that make toxin. It can lead to difficulty breathing, heart breathing problems, and even death. So it's recommended for infants, children, and teens, and even adults to get the vaccine. Now, it is we know what is caused by. Basically, it is spread from person to person through respiratory droplets like coughing or sneezing. Oh, we're back to this again.
Yeah. So honestly, again, it also speaks to a lot of things. Personal hygiene is a thing, and we must realize that as we go forward in this world that we're in, as life goes and things keep moving forward, that we must take our personal hygiene serious. I walked into a bank last week and there was no semblance of, a place to wash my hands or even a sanitizer. And I'm like, wow. I looked around, asked, and they looked at me strange. I said, oh my God. We're back to that point where we think, oh, we're all invisible, but we're not. So these are things that we must imbibe. We must make it a part of us. It must become, like our own bread and butter too, that, personal hygiene, washing your hands, sanitizing your hands, and you still can wear a mask if you... In fact, it's to protect other people now.
Yeah. basically, we just need to be careful at this point. Just wanted to put that out there quickly at this point. And moving on from that, now there's news that broke yesterday that I think it was even today that this happened yesterday anyway. About 5 soldiers and 2 policemen were injured when security operatives raided IPOB camps in Anambra and Imo states.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, nobody died. They said, according to the reports, the injuries was caused by IEDs that were set by these terrorists. But thankfully, the camps were all disbanded and all that. Now, moving on from that, now that looks like there's trouble in paradise of IPOB. So I watched, I saw a video, I saw a picture, then a bit of video. Couldn't bring myself to finish watching the video where the president of Simon Ekpa, where he was talking about how there is going to be a 3-week sit at home for Southeastern civil servants and all that. And the first comment I saw on that post was somebody wearing a paintball kit, calling himself a soldier. So there were a lot of interesting comments from that. But now, and he in his speech he was talking about how it is civil disobedience, and basically it is for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Now we know that a lot of states, especially even citizens, not even the government of the states, are now fighting back with the issue of the sit at home. Now, why I said there's trouble in paradise looks like is that the leader of the Jesus People of Biafra has now accused the Nigerian government of bankrolling Simon Ekpa to cause crisis in the southeast. And the little that I know is Simon Ekpa not doing what he claims he's doing because of Nnamdi Kanu.
Well, that's what we all know, and that's what Ekpa has even said a few moments ago. He keeps saying it, that he's doing all of this. You just read his plan for a 3-week shutdown of the Southeast. Now, it's strange because the same man, Nnamdi Kanu, had on several platforms talked about how people should follow everything that Simon Ekpa is doing, that he's bringing a new dimension. Those were his words, and everything, and how, he was the right guy to do what they're doing. And memory serves me right, not if. Memory serves me right. It was the same Nnamdi Kanu that started the sit-at-home thing. Do you understand? Now, Simon Ekpa has taken it to the next level. Albeit crazy, but next level. These are the issues. It is a falling out between Ekpa and Nnamdi Kanu, but it has not been brought to the fore yet.
Oh, okay.
Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer has been very vocal. There was a letter that he put out, and of course, I think the story was carried by Sahara reporters and 1 or 2 other platforms, of a letter that is purported to have been written by Nnamdi Kanu to Simon Ekpa, and Simon Ekpa has denied the authenticity of that letter. And when Nnamdi Kanu's brother also made a statement about this and why they had to stop the sit-at-home thing, he also said he doesn't know them, that he's not a dynasty and all of that. More or less, like, it looks like he's gone off the bend now. Yeah, that's what it's looking. It's like Simon Ekpa looks like he wants to run his own show, and while still claiming that he's working for Nnamdi Kanu. And
I just need him to please come to Nigeria to come and...
In all of this, the innocent people of the Southeast
are the ones bearing the brunt.
They just want to live a normal life. They're not asking for too much. So in anything that these gladiators would do and decide, just ask yourself, how does it benefit my people? Mm-hmm. Your agitations are not invalid, actually. The need for self-actualization has been with man from the beginning of time.
According to Nigeria, it is invalid.
It is not invalid according to humanity. There are people in Spain who are asking for self-actualization. If you look around you, at some point in time, there used to be Sudan, and now there are 2 Sudans. There used to be just Ethiopia. Now there's Eritrea and there's Ethiopia. I am not advocating for a breakup of Nigeria. I'm just saying that the call for self-actualization is not a new thing. But please, in doing it, look for a way that you can make it work with the law and make sure that the people you are fighting for are not going to be the ones to suffer the most. I hear them talk about sacrifice, but how much sacrifice can the people make?
How much
especially
of it can
when,
people take? Yes.
Especially when you are in Finland insulated from the effects of
whatever
these
it is
things
that you're doing. Yes.
Now, it's funny how if the letter that was written by Nnamdi Kanu was written last week, if it was written by him, where he was talking about how the governors are trying and people are trying to help him, reach a solution with the quagmire he is in with the government. And in the same vein, you're now accusing the same government of bankrolling Nnamdi Kanu. And the same government is the one that is leading the charge to clear up all the trouble spots in the southeast. We need to be sincere in everything we do.
It just comes off as people that, or a set of people that they just don't want to say the truth about what exactly it is that they want. That's the way I see it. Anyway, let's move on quickly from that. And the Central Bank of Nigeria has now exempted microfinance banks and primary mortgage banks from paying processing fees for withdrawals above cash withdrawal limits. So basically what they're trying to say is that there are a lot of people that use these banks are more of low income earners.
Okay.
So what the CBN is saying is that if you want to, there are cash withdrawal limits, but if you want above that, you actually have to pay a certain amount of money. Now they're exempting customers from paying that if you have accounts in those banks.
It's sounding like a good thing, I have this disdain for Nigerian banks and the Nigerian banking system. It's a personal thing. And at times when they bring policies, don't be quick to cheer, But you can't be a pessimist all your life, You must know when to be optimistic about things. But you get it wrong and you get it right at times. I hope that this is meant to, encourage the people who have accounts with this banking institutions, to do more banking without paying so much, from their pocket. And I would wait for the effect 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks after, before having a real opinion about it. But on the periphery, on the surface and all of that, it sounds like something that's good.
Okay, now let's move on from that. Finally, before we go to a bit of sports, now the former NBA president Olumide Akpata has now announced that he's joined the Labour Party.
Now, for all our international watchers and listeners, the NBA is not the Basketball Association. It's the Nigerian Bar Association, not the National Basketball Association, as you know it in America, because that's the big NBA brand.
Mm-hmm.
However, as an individual that is over 18 years old, it is well within his rights, to join a political party that he wants. Now, there's about to be an election in Edo State. The gubernatorial elections are coming up. All the other elective posts have been taken. You get all the other elective posts have been taken as at February 2020. No, March 18 or whatever, when those state elections.
It's not this year though. Their own elections are not this year.
Yeah, I'm coming now. Elections were conducted this year into all the elective posts except the gubernatorial.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And a man joins Labour Party after elections, not before. Do you think that he has joined it because he likes the party? And in reading his statement, he said he had joined as far back as March. He only went to pick up his membership card
and show himself
2 days ago.
Now,
and with the elections coming, it is obvious that the man has plans. He wants to be governor. Can't you see it?
Okay, didn't see that coming. But anyway, it's Nigerians. Anything is possible with Nigerians. The grouse I have with this issue is the fact that I thought the NBA, at least the leadership of the NBA, were supposed to be non-partisan.
Yeah, as leadership, when you are in the saddle, yes, you're not partisan. But when you leave, you're allowed to. We must also realize that, for instance, we have lawyers who are governors. We have lawyers who are senators, and they're all partisan people. You understand? So yeah, and again, he's over 18, so he's allowed to associate himself with any party that he
anybody
chooses.
Okay. Today, there are a lot of people in court. The PDP presidential candidate, the Labour Party presidential candidate is also in court. I think today they're finally giving their final addresses. Looks like the Presidential Petition Tribunal is coming to a close little by little. Now, let's move on a bit to sports before we go. And there's been a lot of surprises this Women's World Cup. First things first, the interesting part that happened but there were also a lot of goals. Netherlands defeated Vietnam 7-0. Come on.
That's wickedness now. Maybe they should have stopped at 6. You don't understand.
The ones that stopped at 6, somebody else stopped at 6 as England defeated China 1-6-1.
Yeah. China in women's football.
Be
afraid. Be
Portugal
very afraid.
And United States. United States struggled. They narrowly
and still didn't score.
They narrowly qualified for the round of 16. It was a very huge struggle for them. Denmark also defeated Haiti. Now, talking about the stands as we speak, there are few people that is official that they're playing round of 16. Like we said yesterday, Switzerland and Spain are playing. Japan and Norway are playing. England and Nigeria are now playing. Also, Australia and Denmark are also playing the round of 16.
Well, at this point in time, we say, oh Lord, our help in ages past.
Because if we go back and look at England, they're one of the very few teams in this World Cup that has won their 3 games. According to the table, it's just only them and Japan that have won their 3 group games.
100%. And that's why we did not want Nigeria to qualify as second. Mm-hmm. Because if you qualify as first, you most likely meet a team that doesn't have this 100% record.
Yeah.
Now, what we need to do as a country is to play to our strength. And I hope that this coach will understand the task in front of him.
I hope so. I really hope so.
England is the kind of team that will expose you. Look at it. We have struggled to score goals. We played 2 goalless draws in 3 games and beat Australia against the run of play. So how did we beat Australia? Number 10th ranked nation in the world. I'm not saying that England will play like Australia. I'm just saying.
Something has to. Because take, for example, the United States is officially the best female team in the world. As we're looking at it yesterday, the last 3 games, it was only the first game that they won.
Yeah.
They had drawn, they had beaten Vietnam. That was the only game that they won. They had drawn against Portugal. They had drawn against Netherlands. In fact, they're not even topping that group.
Yeah, but you must also realize one thing about those kind of teams.
I thought it was like, yeah.
You must realize one thing, eh?
By the time they get to knockout stage,
there are tournament teams, that when they kick into gear, leave matter for Matthias.
Shout out to Argentina.
You know, so I still would say, yeah, they've struggled and all of that. But as a top team, they are where they should be. And this might just, be the start of the World Cup for them. For Nigeria, I'm optimistic. I believe that if we play, to our strength and we do not allow the English team dictate the pace, we will do the unthinkable.
Yeah. Okay. Now moving on from that, looks like the Guinness World Records are looking for trouble.
What trouble again?
They had officially tweeted yesterday that Messi has the highest number of world records as a footballer. According to them, he has 41, and the latest one was for the record of the most FIFA World Cup matches played in by a player. So he's played 26 games, 26 World Cup games.
Okay.
So that makes him have 41 records. There are a lot of
other
records that he's had. About the he's got most man of the match awards at the FIFA World Cup. First person to assist at 5 different FIFA World Cups. I know that Cristiano Ronaldo got the first person to score at 5 consecutive World Cups. Messi is the most FIFA World Cup appearances as a captain, 19 times. He has most appearances in World Cup tournaments by a player, 5 times. I think he got it before Ronaldo, because I think Ronaldo also has it, but he was the first to get it. He also got the most man of the match awards, and he's gotten a lot of awards. Now the issue is the rivalry. Like that tweet, I was like, this was very unnecessary.
Well, it's very factual, and they know what they're doing. I'm glad that it's not something that one Nigerian will wake up tomorrow now and say that he wants to replicate.
No, you didn't have to go there.
I have to go there.
You didn't have to go
I
there.
have to go there. And for the Messi-Ronaldo rivalry, I am afraid that Ronaldo people will start to throw a lot of tantrums and stuff.
Yeah, but he can still surpass it, because at least we know that Messi said he's not going back to any World Cup.
You know how Ronaldo is?
He can still go now.
That's 4 years from now.
Yeah, 3 years. 3 years.
Okay, that's 3 years from now. I stand corrected. 3 years from now.
Remember that there was still the conversation of Argentina saying that it was still going to leave a spot for Messi and all that. So maybe Portugal is just because people can be very petty like that. Anyway, let's move on from that quickly, as Al-Hilal.
Our own Onome B is also breaking record at the Women's World Cup. Guinness Book of Record. Tweet about it, or else
there'll be fights. Now, Al-Hilal is determined that they want Victor Osimhen. Now they have made they had offered the first bid. Now they actually have a second bid for Nigerian very own 24-year-old Victor Osimhen. If he accepts this bid, he's supposed to be the highest paid African ever.
Why not the highest paid person in the world? Don't you think he deserves it? Look, Victor, at this point in time, at 24, you are not expected to be playing in Saudi Arabia, because it's still an interesting league. I don't want to demarket them. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting league. However,
that's a lot of money.
However, as a
businessman,
you understand.
You can just go for like a year,
1 year.
Just do like a year, just razzle them, and then
Baba, collect the money.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot.
At this point, Napoli, you two take your own now.
At least you make a lot of money off him. Just see, this kind of thing. I will, if I were
no
him,
more Saudi league slander.
Be like what's it called? Be like if the deal, look for another team that you're sure is going to sign you, or have signed another deal for next year already where you're going. So just do this 1 year, razzle dazzle, and
some billions of naira.
Billions of naira. Don't even change it to naira.
You two can open refinery like that. Like Dangote, U2C,
Yeah.
You can open Dangote refinery. You can do anything.
Dangote will say hello.
You can buy half of a state and become governor.
Trust me.
you can do anything.
And finally, Wizkid has now become the first African artist to earn the BRIT Billion award.
Congratulations.
For having over 1 billion streams in the United Kingdom.
Congratulations to him.
I think it's
Well
huge.
deserved.
Definitely huge. On that note, that is all we have to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you very, very much for watching. We will be back again at 3 p.m. West African time tomorrow to give you another wonderful edition of The Bar. Do you have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead?